Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And I don't want to do this. Yeah, I have actually had to stop and start this review multiple times because I don't really know how to talk about this film.
And I'm not going to be any help either because I haven't been able to watch too many movies due to school and everything.
You're working on your finals right now. That's way more important. I wish I had finals right now so I would have an excuse to not watch this. Listen, I want to go ahead and say, I like this film. I really do. I think this is a good film. It is. But oh my God, people are talking about this like it's the greatest movie that's ever been made. I have heard people saying that this is one of Scorsese's best films, and I think this is kind of, compared to Scorsese's other movies, I think it's one of his weaker ones, in all honesty. I mean, okay, maybe not one of his weaker ones, but one of those mid-tier ones that you kind of forget he made, like, you know, Shutter Island or something, where it's like not until years later that you're looking through his IMDb page like I was last night going, oh my God, yeah, he did make that movie. I forgot about that thing. Yeah, it kind of feels like that. If I had to rank my favorite Scorsese films, this would be in the top 10.
That'll be your next video you put up on YouTube.
Just to prove to people that I'm not a massive Marvel fanboy and that I do actually like Scorsese. Who am I kidding? I am a Marvel fanboy. I openly admit I'm a Marvel fanboy, but that's the other reason why I don't really want to come in here and review this thing. Because, as I said, this thing, it's not getting good reviews, it's getting the best reviews that any film has ever gotten. It has a 94 on Metacritic. I have never seen a movie get 94 on Metacritic, because Metacritic isn't Rotten Tomatoes. 94 on Rotten Tomatoes just means that 94% of critics liked it. If you gave it a 3 out of 5, you liked it. Spoiler alert, I have many problems with this film. I would still come down on the positive side over on Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic takes the actual scores that everyone gives it and averages them out, and their average came out to 94. That means almost every critic out there gave this somewhere between a 90 and a perfect 100. I can't understand that. Like, I understand liking it. I will make clear, I do like this, but oh my God, that everyone thinks it's that good. And I gotta say, I read a lot of the reviews, and a lot of the reviews were people saying, oh man, it's Scorsese and De Niro and Pacino and Pesci, who came out of an 18-year-long retirement to do this film, and it's them together possibly for the last time. So many of them mentioned that, and I had to kind of stop and go, you know, for some people who are being really harsh on the Marvel fanboys, y'all kind of just fanboying out yourself a little bit on this one, which is fine. You want to fanboy out? You want to go, I just got my Scorsese fan service for 3.5 hours? Great, I'm glad you got that, but be aware that's kind of, you know, a major driving force in your review. Also, I honestly think, and I'm going to get to the actual review in a second, I apologize for taking so long, but this is the headspace I had after watching this film. It wasn't even the headspace I had after watching this film. It was the headspace I had 2 hours into this 3.5 hour long film. It was just going, I should really be feeling more things right now than I actually am. But I honestly think that a lot of the reasons why people are giving this like perfect reviews is because of the Marvel debate that came up. Because Scorsese said the Marvel films aren't cinema. And listen, you're allowed to dislike the Marvel films all you want, but I've always stood by one simple rule, which is that I'm very hesitant about anyone who tries to define what is or is not cinema, because then you're saying what is or is not allowed to be art, and dude, that's not something that can be defined or put into a box. So that's kind of where my stance is. If you want to hate the films, fine, do it all you want, but saying they are or not cinema, that's where I kind of am like, dude, I can't get with you on that. But I think that because Scorsese came out and said the Marvel films aren't cinema, and it caused this huge, massive debate in the film critic society, a lot of critics backed up Scorsese. And now Scorsese releases a film and they criticize that film in any way, it looks like they're going back on what they just said. But on the other side of that argument, there's a lot of people out there who looked at Scorsese and said, no, man, the Marvel films actually are cinema, and they're actually doing impressive things, and there actually is some impressive storytelling going on there, and there's a lot of stuff worth applying in those films. If those people now come in here and criticize the next Scorsese film, it looks like they're just Marvel fanboys. They look like how I look right now, and nobody wants to look how I look right now. I look crazy. So, yeah, I think I think there's many elements that are leading people to giving this way higher reviews than it would have normally gotten if none of those other elements had been in play. Like, if these actors had been working together in multiple other things over the past 18 years, it wouldn't have had that big of an impact, all of them coming back together. And if that whole Marvel debate hadn't come up, nobody would have, like, been trying to justify a lot of stuff in here. So, yeah, I think this film, it's just fine. I think it is a pretty darn good, okay film. But we're going to get into it. God. A lot of people have already tuned out, and I apologize. But yeah, let's go ahead. I didn't even get to the review before people started turning this thing off.
Skip to this number. Skip to this time. Yes, for the actual review.
I might have to actually do that. So, anywho, The Irishman is a movie where it's basically the entire lifespan of this character. And I want to go ahead and applaud Netflix on here. And I've been coming in here and I've been saying Netflix is doing some amazing stuff with its filmmaking because it's willing to take these directors who are well established and go, you should really be allowed to do whatever you want. No studio will let you do that. We're going to let you do whatever you want. And I mean, what was that film that came out last year? Not last year, but 2 years ago. Roma? Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah, goddamn, that movie was amazing. And it's thanks to Netflix that thing got made. But, you know, there's always going to be those times where a film comes out and you look at it and you go, yeah, maybe the studios might have had a reason why this didn't get made. Because this film, it's a bold concept. And I gotta applaud how bold Scorsese is with this. Because it's a 3.5 hour long film that is about this person's life. From his young, like, maybe 20s, I guess? It's kind of hard to say. Let me just go ahead and point this out. They use some de-aging technology and makeup on all these different actors in here to make them look younger. I had no idea how old De Niro was supposed to be for a large chunk of this film, because there are moments in here where Pesci, who is definitely supposed to be older than De Niro in this film, the first time they meet, he's calling him kid. And I kept looking at him going, that man is in his mid-40s earliest. I don't care how good the dye job is on that hair. That man, like, the de-aging technology can only go so far. Like, he's still got wrinkles every time that he squints his face up. Yeah, man, it's not
Just to put a beanie on his head and make him carry a lollipop.
Oh, like the big fake gold curls? Sorry, I'm picturing that in my head, and it's actually kind of hilarious.
Hey, Peach.
So, yeah, buddy. So, yeah, it's this guy from, I'm going to guess, mid-20s-ish, I think. And it's all the way.
Oh, my goodness, Peach.
Yeah, it's fine, buddy. And it is all the way up until modern day when he is an elderly man in a retirement home, and, like, he's there just sitting there all by himself. And that's also what kind of makes this a weird film to talk about, is that normally we do try and save the spoilers until after I give my score, but here's the thing. This is based on an actual person. And when it comes to movies about actual people, about biopics, I'm always like, how much is a spoiler and how much isn't a spoiler? But here's the really weird part about this. I didn't know this was based on an actual person when I started watching this film, because I avoided a lot of the marketing for this. Honestly, I try to avoid the marketing for movies because I know I'm going to watch them anyway. I want to go into them fresh as I possibly can be. So all I knew is this was Scorsese, it was De Niro, it was Pacino, it was Pesci, it was all of them coming back together. Peach, do not go up and kiss me on the face, not now. I must kiss. Yeah, this is a professional review show that we're doing. I really had a right to come in here and just criticize the other critics out there, yeah.
We have a dog, though.
Yeah.
Yay!
Jesus, buddy!
Oh, are you being all squirmy?
Was it the peanut butter sandwich I had right before we started recording?
That was probably it. That was peanut butter.
All right, get down, buddy. So, yeah, I thought this was going to be like, you know, Goodfellas or something. Like, I thought this was going to be like another mob film that he was doing. And it is a mob film, but it is not a Hollywood mob film. It is more of it is a very realistic mob film. And there's just a lot sitting around just talking to each other.
So it's more like an indie mob film?
No, it's a realistic. It's literally the thing I said. It's a realistic mob film. But this film, it takes time to really go through so many different stages of this person's life. And I thought that, again, it was all fictional. I thought this was a made-up character that they were creating. And there came a moment 45 minutes into this thing, which he goes, yeah, we need to go over to Chicago. We need to, talk with this guy we got connections with. He goes, oh yeah, who you need me to talk to? Hoffa. I'm sorry, what? Like, I literally had to stop and go, oh, so they're going to, okay, well, it's happening during actual American time, so, mentioning Jimmy Hoffa, that's the thing that will probably happen. And then it cuts to Al Pacino playing Jimmy Hoffa. I went, wait, he's a major part of this film. I know that from the advertising. What? Is he going to be a thing in this movie? Turns out all these people were actual people, and this is really the story about one of Jimmy Hoffa's closest advisors. And for anybody who does not know their mob history, the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa is one of the greatest mysteries in American history. It is one of those things that people were perplexed by for years. He was up there with like Amelia Earhart and D.B. Cooper in terms of famous people that they're just gone. But Amelia Earhart and D.B. Cooper didn't have ties to the mob. Jimmy Hoffa had many ties to the mob. And this is the story about his closest advisor. And they do have to take some leniency here at the end because, we still don't know what happened to Jimmy Hoffa. And this film goes, no, this is what happened to Jimmy Hoffa. However, there's a lot of people in the mob and go, no, I know what happened to him. And I'm not going to put past Scorsese to possibly have gotten an actual true story out of someone out of this. This is also all based around a book, and the book says this is what happened to him. So I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that Scorsese just made something up here at the end. He did base this off of a book. I'm just saying it's like, well, we still don't know 100% if that is actually true in here or not. But
like Scorsese actually interviewed some mobsters. There's like
dude, Scorsese has access.
Honestly, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually did happen.
100%. And I will say, I'm not going to say like what happens in here to Hoffa, but I will say I looked at one. That's probably far more realistic than the he's buried under giant stadium myth that's been going around. Although I do really like that myth way more than this one. Makes the Giant games way more interesting. So that's what this entire film is about. But that's not like the only historical thing that is thrown in here. There is a ton of history that is put into this film. And there's a lot of moments in here where I really kind of stunned when, okay, what are we doing right now? Oh, shoot, this is about the Cuban Missile Crisis all of a sudden. This is about Nixon possibly arming some rebels. Okay. Oh, wow, everything in this is tied together. Okay. But here's a giant problem with this film, is that it just stops so many times to just go back and forth between different things, just introducing brand new elements here and here and here and here. And there's so many characters in here that they're just here. And it's like, well, I hope that you read the book. I hope that you're up to date on your mob history, because they just love to just drop characters right onto your lap. There was a moment in here in which a character gets assassinated, and I remember looking at that character going, did I know you from previously in this film? Because there's a lot of guys in this film that look just like you. This guy ends up getting assassinated, and then De Niro goes, there's only one guy who could have done this. And then I was like, okay, well, who's it gonna be? It's a character we have not seen at all in this film up until this moment, and has not even been mentioned. I just went, well, then that really meant nothing to me. Okay, well, I know that if you're structuring this like a documentary, fine. If you're structuring this like a documentary in which you're just going like, here are the events as they happen. Okay, that makes sense. But this is not a documentary, it's a movie with the story, and when you have like a massive thing suddenly happen, and the character behind it is just like, well, that's their introduction. This is how they come into the scene. It's weird. It is really jarring, and it makes you not really care all that much about the thing that just happened when it's tied to a guy we didn't know until this moment. And there is a lot of that in this film. And I will admit, I've never been the biggest fan of mob films, simply because a lot of mob films, they are, I was talking to Jimmy the Weasel, and he's part of the Gambone family, and his leader over here was doing this with this character over here, and he was doing that thing with this character over here, and then they're all tied into this guy, but they know that Jimmy Two Shoes over there. It is a lot of names. It is a lot of names coming at you really fast with ties and history and connections to each other that you don't really know, and your introduction to all that is the person just telling you all these characters' names. Now tie that with major figures from history being thrown in here over the course of about 50, 60 years. That is a giant chunk of this film. A huge chunk of this film is them mentioning characters you don't know and then having to come in here and be important parts of the story, or then just leaving immediately, and that's it, because that's just how it worked out in life. And yeah, man, I feel like they were trying to set up way too many elements in here without having the time to really play around with any of them, which is a weird thing to say about a 3.5 hour long film. And this is on Netflix. It is on Netflix, and I came to a realization while watching this. This should not have been a Netflix movie.
It should have been a series.
Yes, absolutely. This thing, it should not have been 3.5 hours long. It should have been 6 hours long. It should have been 6 hour long episodes, and then you could have flushed. Why do I keep saying flushed? You could have flushed
everything out.
You could have. That's not even the first time I've done that today. Go back and see our Knives Out review. I caught myself in that one after I said, I was like, too late. Just roll with it. Hope no one noticed. Mention it in another review. Yeah, you could have had time to flesh everything out. You could have gone into all the details of this character's life. Because there are characters in here that they get screen time and then they're immediately gone. I'm like, we didn't need to know that guy. I know that you want us to know that guy because you are really fascinated by the history of this. Like, you watch this and you can tell Scorsese cares about the history behind this. And he wanted you to know the history behind this. But, dude, in terms of structuring a story, when you have a character just pop up here and I don't know who the hell that character is, and then they're just gone, and, well, then what was the point of any of that? Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great thing to do. But there are characters that when you look at in terms of like how to set up the story about this character, who we are following, there are characters we should have gotten to know that we didn't at all.
I'm just imagining like Martin Scorsese like teaching American history or something.
That'd be a fun class. Wait, no, he did Gangs of New York. That would not have been a fun class. Yeah, maybe I need to go back and watch that one again, but that was the first time I saw a Scorsese film that went, oh, they're not all hits. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch it. But yeah, I remember I was riding on a Scorsese high when I started getting into him, like Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, oh my God, and then Gangs of New York. Oh, okay. I guess this is fine. So, what the hell was I even saying? But yeah, there are characters who are important to this guy's actual life, to Robert De Niro's character's actual life, who they're not, like, they are so unimportant to the actual story when they're important to the character himself. He's got a family. And he's got 3 or 4 daughters, and the fact that I can't tell you how many daughters he has really says something. But he's got a daughter in here, and at the end of this film, a massive element of the final hour of this film is him in his later years no longer having a connection with his daughter. I think his daughter, as an adult, has like 1 line. No, she's got like 2 lines of dialogue. We see some stuff in there with her as a kid, but she doesn't really do much for the story there. We see that she has like we see that her as a kid, she's got like this very friendly relationship with Hoffa. And then there's a moment like years later, and they're at this big ceremony for Robert De Niro's character, and Hoffa is there, and Hoffa is dancing with someone. And I kept looking at that going, okay, is that the daughter now? Because I know that time has passed, but you didn't take the time to introduce this is the daughter now at this age of her life. So am I supposed to be looking at that going, why is Hoffa dancing with De Niro's daughter now, this person who he's known since she was a child? Is there something maybe going on behind the scenes there? Or is that a random woman who means nothing to this entire story at all? I don't know, because you do not take any time to set up anything with this daughter. And like I said, the end of this film, a giant chunk of it is, yeah, my daughter, she stopped talking to me. She didn't really talk to you before this, man. I hate telling you, but I've been watching this movie. You could have cut her out of this film completely. And there's a moment after that in which he's trying to talk about how he wants to reestablish a connection with the daughter, and he goes to one of his other daughters. We haven't seen this daughter at all. And the daughter's like, you didn't lose a connection with her. You lost the connection with all of us. Like, none of us could ever really get close to you. And I kept looking at that going, yeah, okay, but that doesn't excuse how you didn't introduce, like, you saying we didn't have a connection with you doesn't excuse the film not introducing any kind of lack of connection, is what I'm trying to say. Because, he goes to this other daughter and starts asking her, like, how do I form a connection with her again? And she's talking about what it was like to be his kid. And I was like, I don't even remember you. You're blonde. I don't remember a blonde daughter in here at all. It is really poorly done how they establish the family when that is a major element of the story at the end of this entire thing. But I'm talking about like some of the failings of this film. About like how it feels very jumbled at times. They are cutting between things that they need to spend more time on. They do not introduce the characters in here that they really need to introduce if they want that to be a major part of the story in here. But there are really good things.
Yes, let's go to the good things before everyone starts kicking your ass in the comments.
I want to make it clear. I'm still going to give this a positive review. Like I said, like, if I gave this a score over on Metacritic, I would have brought that entire thing down. But if I gave this a score over on Rotten Tomatoes, I'd still be in the fresh category. I'd still be giving it the old thumbs up. Sorry, got too excited there and got a burp in my throat. Yes, very professional critics indeed. Oh, man. You all know what you're getting into when you get into one of these reviews. Some of the positives in here is that this is a film where, like I said, it is about this guy who, he was a major ally to Jimmy Hoffa. And the way that they really just set up Jimmy Hoffa's ties to the mob, oh my God. Like, I knew about Jimmy Hoffa and his ties to the mob. I didn't know what it was like from the mob's point of view. Like, I always look at it like, Jimmy Hoffa, he was head of the Teamsters Union, so he had all these connections. He was planning stuff out there. He has fingers in all kinds of pies all across America in there. And he was working closely with them. From the mob's point of view, this guy was a fuck up. This guy, he went to jail for fraud, which, again, it does not cover stuff well enough. When Jimmy Hoffa goes to jail for fraud in here, I had to rewind and go, wait, what is he going to jail for? There's multiple times in this film that I had to rewind because I was like, I'm watching the scene right now and I don't know why we're doing this scene right now. There's a lot of times like that. Okay, we're getting into the positives. I gotta point this out before I forget. The editing is bad in this film. This is bad editing. And I don't even mean how scenes are brought together. I mean just how shots are brought together. There are moments where, like, you'll have a shot from one angle and a character's hand will be up, then it cuts to another angle, hand is down, and he's still in mid-sentence. And like, oh, that is man, that's the kind of fuck up that I would make, because I'm a bad filmmaker. Scorsese's not a bad filmmaker. How did you do that? But then there's like multiple times in here, in which they will cut to a shot, and the person speaking, they will cut into the middle of the first word of the sentence that they're saying. Like, they will cut, and they will literally cut off the first few letters of the word that they're saying there. And it was honestly perplexing. Like, I seriously rewound multiple times and go, was it Netflix? Did Netflix, like, glitch on me or something? No, it's not. This thing, like, cuts too quickly at times, which that's the only time I can say that this film does anything quickly. But no, like I said, what was I saying here? Oh yeah, Jimmy Hoffa, he goes to jail for fraud, and then when he gets out of jail, he goes, all right, I want my union back. I want my team back. I want them back. And the mom's just like, you went to jail for fraud. Be happy you're here. Like, the new mob guys are just looking at him like, we're not giving you any time. And Pesci is the old, he is the, God, I don't know the exact terminology to use, but he's the guy who took De Niro in. He is the guy who brought him in and was like...
The father figure?
No, well, because when you talk about... In a way, he's De Niro's father figure, but you can't say father figure when talking about the mob, because that is like an actual, like...
Yeah.
That's the thing up there. There was literally a trilogy of films about that. But yeah, he is kind of the father figure. He's the guy who brings him in, goes, I'm going to show you the ropes. They form a bond with each other. Like, there's a great moment in there in which they're talking and they're just breaking bread with each other, like literally like breaking bread and dipping it into wine and sipping it. And they're talking Italian to each other. And they're talking about, like, well, how... No,
That's a lot of Italian for a movie called The Irishman.
Well, that was one of the things. They were like, yeah, you're one of the only Irish people we let into the mob here. How do you even know Italian? And he goes, well, I was in the war. I was stationed over in all these different cities in Italy and Pesci's like, well, I came from Italy, and they start bonding over that. It's great. Yeah, there are really good moments between Pesci and De Niro. They're amazing in here. What was I saying about Hoffa? But oh yeah, like Pesci, he's not one of the new guys. He's been in here for a long time. But he's going up to De Niro, who is a friend of Hoffa, and he's letting him know, I'm doing everything I can so they don't kick this motherfucker out, and you don't just get kicked out of the mob. You need to rein his crazy ass in. You need to control this guy. And man, you all know my political leanings. I'm never trying to hide that stuff, but I've been saying for a long time, there will come a day in which there will be multiple films made about Trump. And I have been asking myself, who would be the perfect person to do that? And after watching this, all I could think was Scorsese. Get Scorsese to do the documentary about the Trump presidency, because there are so many times like there's just this crazed nut job just running around like I need my family back. I need to get into this. I need to do this. I'm the most important thing. Nobody keeps me waiting more than 10 minutes. And De Niro's just like, calm your crazy ass down. Just please, just don't let anyone know that you're incredibly unstable right now. And I just kept thinking about every single time that Giuliani has gone on TV over the past 2 weeks. I was like, yeah, man, these are the scenes playing out right now. I would love to see Scorsese do that film. Yeah, he captures that so insanely well. I love those moments in here. Although, what I did love was Pacino's awful Chicago accent. He does this Chicago accent that just comes and goes. There are moments where he has no accent at all. It is just did I say Pesci at one moment? Pacino. In which is just Al Pacino being Al Pacino. And then there are other moments in which he is like, the Bears, in which he is that easily on that thing. It comes and goes like that. But he is, accent aside, he's acting his ass off in a way that we have not seen Al Pacino act in a long time. So again, to all the fanboys out there who are like, it's these guys, they're back again. I get it, man. I get that you have not had that thing that you like in a long time. And this is the thing that you like. I get it. I totally understand, man. But yeah, that is the stuff that really makes this film great. It is Pacino. It's Pacino's crazy performance, but De Niro trying to rein his crazy ass in. Is watching the slow de-evolution of their friendship and their alliance, and De Niro knowing that there's nothing he can do about. Like when they come to him and they're talking to him about like he's becoming a problem, De Niro doesn't want him to be a problem, but he knows he is. He knows he can't do anything about that. And then it's just the scenes between Pesci and De Niro. These two guys, they just take their time, and they're not afraid to just have silent bonding moments between these guys. And there's even just ways that they look at each other. Like there's a moment in which they're old men and they're just driving down the highway, and Pesci is just asleep in the car. And he's not got he's got that old man like leaning back, and De Niro is just looking over at him with this look of like, yeah, I know that guy. Not like a big smile. It is a subtle thing of like, yeah, we have this relationship that we have known each other this long. We are brothers at this point. Like there's a moment in which Pesci gives him a ring and says there's only 3 people who have worn this ring and you're the first Irishman who's ever done it. And man, anytime after that they cut that ring, it means a lot. It really does hit you. And towards the end of this film, again, it's weird. I don't know what to spoil in here because these are actual people. You can look this stuff up. None of this stuff is hidden. But it's the later years of De Niro's life. And I mean, this film opens up with De Niro in old man makeup in a retirement home, talking to them, and he's basically just going to tell you his entire life story. And at the end of this, it is him. His family doesn't want to talk to him. His daughter especially doesn't want to talk to him. Is one of 4 daughters, but the one that like flat out cut off all ties with him, she really doesn't want to talk to him. And you see him trying to reestablish a connection with her. You see him going around. He has to go and pick out his own casket for his funeral. And the only other person there with him is like the guy from the retirement home who's pushing him around. Like he goes up to the casket salesman and goes, okay, well, there's this one. What are you looking for? Like man and woman. And he goes, me. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Like, you can tell. Yeah, picking out your own casket is not typically a thing that people do, but they spent a good long time here at the end of this film of De Niro just basically trying to plan out his own death. What is he going to do? And no family members there to help him. No one's there to help him. And he's got friends. He's got friends who they all went to jail at one point together, and they went to jail as old men. And man, you gotta give it up for Pesci in this one, because Pesci he is older than De Niro in this one. You see Pesci, like, when he can barely, like, talk and, like, his hands are shaking and he's covered in old man makeup. Holy cow, that's some of the best acting that Pesci's ever done in his entire life. It was great. And you see all these people he knew, just slowly they move on to the next life. They're just slowly gone until he's the last one there. And yeah, the entire last hour of this film is basically just like the slow decline. Like, not last hour, but last like 45 minutes is kind of like the slow decline of his final days. And again, you keep thinking about how this film, it should not have been a movie. It should have been a 6-part miniseries. The entire final episode, this guy who you have known for 5 other episodes now, you've seen his rise, you've seen all the things he's been through. Now you're just watching his final days. Like, that would have been an amazing last episode of this series. It would have been jaw-dropping. But they didn't do that, and so what we got was a film that feels very uneven as they tried to cram a whole lot in here. It feels kind of jumbled and poorly paced out at several moments in here. I mean, for a film that still had that much to cover, when you take 45 minutes at the end of this just to kind of cover this guy, like, just being all by himself and being lonely for about, 45 minutes here. Yeah, man, it's not that wasn't good stuff. It's that there's other stuff in here we need more time of. And if you want to ask me where we could have cut time, boop, kind of easy to pick it out. So yeah, and this film, there's other moments in here where they take their time on a scene. Like, they just go very, very slow with the scene. And it's great for setting up suspense. But it's bad when you had other moments in here that need more time. And that's what makes me go, this needed to be a mini-series, man.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Like, there's a moment on the day in which Hoffa is going to be killed, in which Pesci and Pacino and their wives, who also don't really have a lot of characters to them, they are staying in this hotel, and De Niro, did I say Pesci? No, wait, I said Pesci and Pacino. I mean Pesci and De Niro. And De Niro comes out. He walks into this big, empty eating area, and he picks up a bowl, and, like, it's just taking the long, slow time from walking over there, putting the plate down, no sounds except for just spoon, clink, clink. Man fumbling with a cornflakes bag. Yeah. That's, like, they take a long-ass time for that. And then when you see what that's all kind of leading up to, it's like, oh yeah, you're building suspense pretty good there. Like, okay, yeah, you really immersed me in that moment, so I'm kind of there right as this is happening. Okay, great. But man, you needed more time at other points in this film, and I'm sorry to say, like, you need to cut some of the really good stuff out of here to make up for the stuff that just felt really jumbled. You need to try and even this stuff out. But this is a film that it should not have been 3.5 hours long. It shouldn't have been a film. It should have been a miniseries. It really hits you hard when you stop and you actually think about how that would have fixed so many of the problems in here.
But miniseries don't get nominated for Emmys. Oscars.
Miniseries do get nominated for Emmys.
Oh, they do. I'm getting all my award shows mixed up.
Emmys are the TV one, yes.
Right. So yeah, go for Emmys, not Oscars.
Yeah. Go for the other thing that doesn't mean anything. So yeah, okay, you want to come back over here? I guess we haven't been going for a long time, Pete. Okay. Fine, buddy. So yeah, in the end am giving this a 7. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10 because there are great moments in here. There is some really good filmmaking in here. But when it comes to the pacing, the way the story is actually laid out, the way in which it actually tries to, like, get all this across the audience, because again, if you don't know your mob history of America, this means nothing to you for large chunks of this thing. There are characters in here who just, like, it's nothing. It really has no impact on you.
Like, I originally thought, like, The Irishman was going to be about, like, the Irish Mafia or something.
I thought so, too, which made me confused why they were getting all these Italian
characters. Like, what? Aren't they going to try and do, like, Irish accents or something?
But yeah, there's so many really good moments in here, and so many just great performances in here. That absolutely. Why do you want to go back over there? That absolutely do make this a really, really good film. That is jumbled up by a poor story structure, and by not having the time to flesh stuff out, and by having characters who should have had bigger impacts have really no screen time at all. Yeah, so I gotta give this a 7 out of 10. Also, I do want to know, what the fuck was up with the editing in here? The editing is not good in this film, I'm sorry. Also,
oh my god, Peach, you just can't make up your mind.
Also, I do have to say, the makeup in here is really damn good. Like, I do criticize that in the beginning, I had no idea how old De Niro was supposed to be. But when they start getting to, like, the old man makeup, that's really damn impressive in here. I was actually kind of blown away. It's almost like the de-aging stuff was done digitally, and the old man stuff was done with makeup, and that's why that looks so good. But yeah, I definitely think that is worth pointing out in here. So yeah, those are my thoughts on The Irishman. Sorry that this went so long, but it's a 3.5 hour long film. I could have gone longer. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. Next week, I don't think that there's a lot coming out, so we might try and go and see that Mr. Robin? What was that?
Mr. Rogers one?
Mr. Rogers, thank you.
Yes,
God,
with Tom Hanks.
I'm jumbled up myself right now. Yeah, the Tom Hanks Mr. Rogers film, because that came out this week and we didn't get a chance. So come back next week for a review on that. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Yay.
Yay.